Hello, hi, and welcome or welcome back to the Strategic Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Blue, and I am a business astrologer here to help you use astrology to start, grow, and scale your online service-based business. Today's episode, as always, I'm super excited about because we are talking about Saturn Retrograde. Now, before you run for the hills, I just want to say Saturn in general is not a planet to fear. So in this episode, we are demystifying what Saturn really represents, what Saturn retrograde actually is, and how you can use the energies during this time to grow and scale your business. So if you want to learn more, keep listening. So first of all, I just want to say Saturn just needs better PR. There are so many conversations that I have with other astrologers, astrology enthusiasts, even other business owners, and people really just like shaking their boots when it comes to Saturn. And it really had me considering my own relationship to Saturn and the ways that we can just build a better relationship with it in general. As business owners, Saturn is one of the most important planets for us to be working with. So it really doesn't serve us to have and hold onto this fear around this planet, but instead really get to understand it. So first of all, let's just break down what a retrograde is for any planet. Every planet except for the sun and the moon retrograde. So retrogrades are a period of time during the year, sometimes multiple times a year, when a planet moves abnormally from how it typically does. Usually this means that instead of moving forward, it looks like, or it appears to be moving backwards in the sky. It retrogrades, it previous motion, right? This usually looks like moving back into a previous sign and spending a little bit of time there, depending on how long the retrograde is. So some planets like Mercury retrograde, we're already quite familiar with. And I've actually done a whole podcast episode on Mercury retrograde that you can go and check out after this one as well. Now, Saturn retrograde differs from other retrogrades in the sense that one, it focuses on Saturn being the planet that retrogrades. This happens less frequently than other planets, but it still happens for a big chunk of the year. So Saturn retrogrades are typically a really good time to revisit, reevaluate, to reconsider previous actions that you may have taken or previous decisions that you may have committed to just make sure that they're still in alignment with how you want to move forward. This is especially important for business owners because we can't always be in a space where we are constantly moving forward. We need to take some time to slow down, to consider where it is that we're going, and if it still makes sense for us to be on that path. Are you committing to things that you still want to do that will lead you to your end goals? That's what Saturn retrograde is really here to support us with. To really make the most out of Saturn retrograde, we have to go back and we have to first consider Saturn as a planet and what it represents. And it really comes down to understanding Saturn's nature. So Saturn is the farthest out of the 7 traditional planets. And being the final planet that we can see from the naked eye, it holds a lot of that energy, that reverence, and being very cold, being very distanced from the other 6 traditional planets. It is also the planet of karma, consequences, time. It rules over the things that take a lot of time to be revealed, to unveil, to discover, or uncover. It is also ruling over long-term sustainability. So ruling over Capricorn and Aquarius, we see a lot of these themes naturally arising when we're dealing with these zodiac signs and these zodiac archetypes. But what I find really fascinating is that Saturn is ultimately dealing with delaying in order to prepare you for what it is that you're calling in. I often see Saturn as building the reputation of being a harsh teacher, in being that teacher that did not reward you for participation, did not reward you for showing up, but instead had very high standards for how they wanted you to show up. And by doing so, this allowed you to show up in a deeper way, in a more intentional way, so that by the time that that class with that teacher was over, the grade that you got, there was a sense of pride that came about because you knew that it was a true reflection of the work that you put in. That is the energy that Saturn as a planet carries over. There is a natural delay. There is a distance, a pause in the timing of when you ask for a thing and when Saturn gifts it to you. Saturn is, despite its reputation, it is a planet of giving. It is a planet that is here to support your betterment as a business owner and to support you and your greater good. All of the planets are. They all want you to do your best work and to be able to show up as your best self, but they support you in different ways. Saturn, in embracing that role of being the quote unquote harsh teacher, it allows you to show up with more intentionality. In delaying the gifting of what it is that you are calling for, Saturn's hope is that you use that time to your advantage, that you use that distance to consider what are the skills that you need in order to sustainably use the gift that you're calling in. From a business owner perspective, it is asking how can you use this delay to gain mastery over your skills, to do what is required in order to strengthen the foundation of your business. And ultimately, what can you implement, improve, do better at in order to create sustainable success rather than fleeting short-term success for yourself and your business? That is the energy that we are carrying in when we're working with Saturn. So what exactly can you expect during Saturn retrograde? So similar to Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde deals with Saturn moving abnormally from how it typically does. Because Saturn is a slower moving planet, its retrograde is also going to be slower moving. And so knowing this actually gives you a lot of time to prepare and to ultimately use this energy to your advantage as a business owner. So when a Saturn retrograde happens, typically what you want to look for is what sign is Saturn retrograding in? This usually involves the sign that Saturn is currently in, and then perhaps the sign that comes before it. So at the time of this recording, Saturn is currently in Pisces and it's retrograding in Pisces. So what we're talking about here with this Saturn retrograde is dealing with retrograde of the Piscean themes. You also want to consider for your personal chart what house this retrograde is happening in. The house that the sign Saturn is in. So for example, if we're talking about this current Saturn retrograde, you want to look to the Pisces ruled house in your whole sign chart. Or if Saturn is retrograding into another sign, you want to look for the sign that rules over that house accordingly. But the benefit to this is that it will give you even more insight as to what the themes of that house that will affect that retrograde are. For example, let's say you are a Leo rising. Pisces rules over your 8th house using whole sign houses. So this means that Saturn retrograde in Pisces is going to affect your 8th house. That retrograde energy is going to be impacting those 8th house themes, the occult, other people's resources, transformations, unseen influences, or things that are happening below the surface. Again, all this is going to be determined by your rising sign and moving accordingly, which is very easy to actually find and determine on your own. This is also work that I do for my clients inside of my private astrologer program. So knowing all this, knowing the nature and what to expect during Saturn retrograde, how can you use this energy to ensure that your business actually thrives, not just survives Saturn retrograde? So first, getting to know your own personal Saturn placement can be quite helpful. One of the many things I love about traditional astrology is that we don't just look at the planet and where it's represented, where it's placed in a chart. Instead, we are also considering the condition of the planet, determining how strong or how weak it is. So understanding your personal Saturn placement can be quite helpful. Do you have a strong Saturn, meaning that it is exalted, it's in a sign or a house where it's very comfortable, very at home in? Or is it in detriment? Is it in fall? Is it weakened because it's in a place that is not prefer to be in? And how is that impacting how you're able to use the Saturnian energy in your chart? What are the relationships that it's holding based on the aspects between other planets? Is it conjunct, opposing different planets? Like, what's the relationships that it's having with other planets, other placements in your chart? And considering all this can really help you to understand your personal Saturn placement and how you're meant to utilize it for your particular business. This can also be really helpful in demystifying and breaking down these stereotypes that Saturn is like a bad planet or is just here to just cause chaos and destruction for the sake of causing chaos and destruction. It is naturally a malefic planet, so it is going to arise more challenges, but why is it going to arise those challenges? What is the benefit to that? Saturn's nature is not to shake the table just for the sake of shaking the table. It has a larger mission that it is here to unfold. So considering what is the benefit, what is the lesson here that Saturn is trying to support you in learning can be quite helpful in determining how to use Saturn's energy. Another thing that I like to consider is that Saturn's nature in and of itself can be quite inspiring. As a planet, it naturally moves slower, more intentionally. It is spread out over a longer period of time. And as such, it does best in dealing with matters that need time to develop and mature. So when it comes to utilizing Saturnian energy within your business, this can be quite helpful in ensuring that you are creating the foundations that are required for your business to succeed for the long haul. This is where I see the most resistance with my clients when I'm doing readings or working with them inside a private astrologer. When we're dealing with things that require the building of your business foundation, or just dealing with the nature of Saturn, the delays, the holding back, the pausing before the forward movement, all of that can, again, be used for the benefit of your business, but it requires you to shift your thinking and to consider what is required for the betterment of your business, what is going to be the best use for you to develop mastery over the skills that you do best, over improving the services that you provide in your business, and ultimately the systems, the support, the back-end support for your business. How can all of that move together in accordance in order to create sustainable success? I will say, while retrogrades are generally a time for you to slow down and take stock of the actions that you've done thus far, Saturn retrograde can also be a really good time to make concentrated energy in these particular areas of your business in order to grow optimally. So instead of taking the same mentality that you would for, say, a Mercury retrograde, I would instead use Saturn retrograde's energy to shake up a stagnant area of your business. Consider what part of your business foundation needs your attention, yes, but also needs that aligned action in order to move forward. What part of your business have you been dragging your feet around? Has it been with restructuring your signature offer? Has it been with getting feedback on areas of your business where you can improve things like communications or systems or structure? What is it that you need to do in order to improve the quality and the impact and the usefulness of the found aspect of your business? And so really understanding all of this from an astrological perspective can help you become a better business owner. And again, you don't need to do all this by yourself. Actually, working with a business astrologer can help you navigate longer term transits like Saturn retrograde and then use them for your advantage. So this is one of the many things that I do with you inside of Private Astrologer, which is my one-on-one signature program to help you grow and scale your online business using astrology. All of the information for Private Astrologer, as well as the link to book your sales call, can be found in the description show notes of this episode, as well as everything else I've mentioned in today's episode. So go ahead, check that out. And I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye.